Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Wow. Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Katie, and in today's video, we are discussing all of the thrills, all of the chills, all of the what the frick moments. You know, we're talking about my favorite thrillers of the year.
I'm so excited! I'm so excited!
So this year, I would say, was the year of thrillers for me. It was the first time I'd ever ventured into the genre of thrillers because, to be completely honest, I didn't think I would ever like them. Which is funny because I enjoy thriller movies, I enjoy like true crime and things like that. So really it was like a match made in heaven. When I read my first thriller back in I think it was February, I was bit by the bug. I had to read all the thrillers after that. I can't wait to read more thrillers next year. It's just become one of my favorite genres. And if you have any thriller recommendations that aren't in this video, leave them down below because I am making my list for next year already and I need all of the good thrillers. But without further ado, let's just talk about my favorite thrillers that I read this year. Okay, so this list is in no particular order because there was no way that I was going to be able to label these like 10 to 1, 1 to 10. They're all my babies. I love them all equally the same. Probably not. There's probably some that I love more than others, but there was just no way that I was going to be able to like rank these.
Give me my money back, girl.
So let's just say I love these all the same. We're going to go with that. Okay, so the first one that I want to talk about is Pretty Girls from Karin Slaughter. I had never heard of Karin Slaughter before this year. Didn't know she was an author. Didn't know she wrote books, didn't know anything. But I was watching Haley Hughes here on BookTube, and she is a Slaughter head, okay? She loves Karin Slaughter. She recommends this book in every thriller recommendation, and now I know why.
Hopefully all of y'all have read that already. If you haven't, go read it. That's your homework assignment.
Pretty Girls was amazing. It was amazing. It was dark. It was graphic. It's everything that I look for in a book because I'm dark and twisty too. But a little bit about this book. This story follows two sisters who are like the main two characters of this story. Years ago, their oldest sister went missing and she was never found. Well, years go by, and during the course of the story, you get to see how both sisters kind of handled the situation. And in the present day, there are girls that are going missing, kind of like their sister, and they kind of just get thrown into the mix really fast, like right into like the first chapter, things start happening. So it's definitely fast paced. Trigger warning though, like I said, this book is very graphic. This book is very gory. So keep that in mind if those are things that you don't want to read about. Also, I know this might be a spoiler. However, I feel like it's necessary if you plan on reading this. This book covers this topic right here that I'm not going to say because I don't know how well YouTube would allow me to say that. So yeah, it talks about this. And if you do not know what this is, basically it is a form of, and at the end, the victim is murdered. So that is what basically this book is kind of about. So kind of know before you're going in, that's what it's about. So if you're uncomfortable with that, I would kind of lay off. But I've heard that Karin Slaughter's books, a lot of them are like graphic, gory like that. So be forewarned. However, I highly enjoyed this. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. The next book I want to talk about is none other than the first thriller that I read this year. And quite frankly, probably the first thriller I have ever read. And that would be No Exit by Taylor Adams. I loved this book. It was so good. You have your isolated setting, you have a limited cast of characters. It was just fantastic. Fast-paced. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me discuss it for those of you who do not know. No Exit is about a girl who is traveling home over like winter break because her mom is having surgery. On her way home, she gets stuck in a snowstorm, so she has to get off the road and stay at a rest stop. Well, at this rest stop, there's like 4 or 5 cars there. She gets out, she goes in, she sees the people. Hello, hello. And then she wants to make a phone call, but of course there's no reception, like always. So she goes outside, makes her phone call, and then as she's walking back into the rest stop, she sees what she perceives to be a child's hand in the back of one of the vans. So she goes and looks, and lo and behold, there is a child in a cage in the van. So someone in the rest stop is a kidnapper. We don't know who, and that's all just in the first chapter, hun. That you find out all that in the first chapter. That's how fast-paced this is. I loved this book. It was so good. It was 5 out of 5 stars. Fantastic. It spans over the course of the one evening. So I feel like if your book's going to do that, it kind of has to be fast-paced. It can't be slow burn. It just can't be. So it has that going for it. It is a little gory. It is a little graphic. But I'm okay with that. Like I said, that doesn't bother me. I absolutely love this book. It's being made into a movie for Hulu for next year. So get ready, y'all. Get ready. Loved it. And then I don't even want to talk about his next book that he did. It's this,
No ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am.
I don't know how you go from No Exit to Hairpin Bridge. I just don't know. And I'm sad that I hated that book so much. But we're not talking about my, disappointments of the year. We're talking about my favorites. So No Exit is definitely on that list. The next book is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I absolutely loved this book also. Fantastic. Okay, I read The Silent Patient and I read The Maidens this year, both by him. And what I appreciate is that you can tell that he has a psychology background because both books are from the perspective of psychotherapists or group therapists or something. So psychology is like a main point in the books. And you can tell that he at least got some schooling in psychology. He realized it wasn't for him and he went into writing. But you can tell that he at least appreciates the ethics of it and the way it works and things like that. So I appreciate that because I too do work in the psychology field. So I appreciate when an author represents that in the correct way. However, my tangent is off. Let's talk about The Silent Patient, what it's about. This is about a psychotherapist. I can't remember his name. I want to say it's Alex, but I'm not. Nope, that's the author's name. What is his name? It's going to bug me now. Anyway, he is getting a job at this mental institution where a very famous criminal patient is residing. She was put into the news because she shot her husband 5 times in the face and then quit talking. I could just tell you that and you'd be interested in reading it, right? Because that just sounds interesting. Why does she shoot him in the face 5 times? Why does she quit talking? I'd be interested just by that much. But there's more. So he's got the white male savior complex. He's I think I can fix her. I think I can get to her. I think I can get her to talk. So he goes, she becomes his patient, and the story just goes. And you get perspectives from the present, and you get, I can't think of the girl's name either, and it's driving me nuts. You get her point of view from her diaries that she has written and her journals and stuff like that. So you learn what happened. And the twist, honey, in this book, the twist I didn't see coming, and it was so satisfying and it was so good. I loved it. 5 stars. And then I read The Maidens and I hated it. Oh, don't get me wrong. The Maidens is a great book. It's atmospheric. It's fast-paced. It's got that psychological perspective. It's got Easter eggs of The Silent Patient. All of it is fantastic. And then you get to the end and bleh. I don't know how you can take all that. Take it, get to the ending, and just bleh. You dropped it. You dropped the ball. He dropped the ball. Look, I know some people love The Maidens, and good for you. I just could not. I did. After coming off The Silent Patient high, then reading that, I was no ma'am. No ma'am. No. The next book on my list is The Push by Ashley Audrain. And this book, honey, if you have children, if you want children, if you work with children, proceed with caution when reading this book. Whew, this book was a ride. It was fantastic. I'm pretty sure all of these were 5 stars, so I'm going to stop saying that. But this was a 5-star. It just was. This book is so more psychological than edge of your seat thriller because it messes with your brain up here and it makes you think things that you shouldn't think about with kids. You shouldn't be wondering that, but you do.
I'm telling y'all, I thought about this for a long time. I'm not finding any pros with children.
And you know what? I am taking the side of the main character in this book. Okay, I believe that her child is correct. Anyway, let's talk about a little bit about the book first. So we're following the main character who is a mother, and she just is not connecting with her child. Her firstborn child is a daughter, and she just does not connect. She doesn't feel anything. There's no connection. There's no love. There's just nothing. The daughter connects with the father, and they have a great relationship, but she's just like, I feel nothing. So she has another child, and that time when she has it is a son, and they're connected. She feels it. She feels the love. It's great. A few years go by, and then tragedy strikes. And I'm not going to tell you what happens. Just... It's sad. It's a sad incident that happens. Kind of give it away by the title. It's the push. But anyway, so she just kind of has it in her head that her daughter is behind this incident. She did it, and it just kind of goes from there. It's kind of it leaves you with like a ambiguous ending. You can either believe that what happened is the fault of the daughter, or you can be like, well, maybe the heroine is just not reliable. So, but I absolutely loved it. For a debut novel, this was fantastic. I cannot wait to read more from this author. The next book is They Never Learn by Lainey Fargo. Look, I'm just gonna tell you, like, listen. This book is Dexter. Like, that should be all you need to know to want to read this. Like, it's so good. But I will give you a little bit more information if that great synopsis didn't do it in for you. Okay, so we follow Scarlett, who is an English college professor, but she moonlights as a serial killer. Why are you still here? Why aren't you reading this book? Oh my goodness. So she has a list of men on the campus who are just scummy. Okay, like, these heifers are terrible human beings. They're either abusive, emotionally, physically, they have sexually abused someone, assaulted someone. They're just terrible men. So you know what she does? She goes at night or during the day. You know, it doesn't matter when she goes because she just goes. And she kills them, but she makes it look like a suicide so she doesn't get caught. Okay, this book follows her perspective, and it also follows the perspective of a college freshman named Carly, who's just kind of navigating the first year of freshman life. Some stuff's going on. And you're kind of thinking, okay, how are these two stories going to intertwine? But baby, do they intertwine? And you were mind blown because I'm so upset that I didn't see it. I was like, ow! But it was so good. This book's also sapphic, so it's got that for you. Like, look, if this was not made into a movie, it needs to be. Like, I know it's not, but it needs to be. It was so good. I love morally gray characters, and this book gives you morally gray characters. Fantastic. The next thriller I want to talk about is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I loved this book. Look, I'm smiling as I'm talking about it because I love Colleen Hoover.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
My first time reading her this year, and baby, I love her. She's fantastic. She can write romance. She can write thrillers. She can write paranormal romances. Like, what can she not do? I don't know, but it was fantastic. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's discuss Verity. This story follows an author who's kind of down on her luck. Her books just aren't doing very well. And she goes to a meeting at her publishing office type thing. And she meets with this guy who says, my wife is Verity, who's a very well-known author, blah, blah, blah. And she has like a series of books that she has out, but she can't finish them because she was in an accident and she's vegetative state, I guess that's what word I'm looking for. So she can't write anymore. So they're like, we'll pay you to be the ghostwriter for the last 3 books. You can come to her, you know, come to the house, look through her notes, you know, in their office and whatever. And she's like, cool deal, I'll do it because it's a lot of money and I need the money. So she goes, and this is sort of like a romance too, because like she kind of has a thing for Verity's husband, and Verity's husband kind of has a thing for her, and I can't think of the girl's name right now, but so she goes and she starts like reading Verity's manuscript that she finds in her office because she was writing this autobiography. And Verity's messed up, y'all. Verity is so messed up, but I loved it. And I need to know, if you read Verity, are you team letter? Are you team manuscript? Because I am team manuscript all the way. Girl's nuts. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, buts. I believe she was fully nuts. And that's how I'm living my life. Verity was nuts, okay? The next book I want to talk about is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This was my first book that I read by this author, and I was pleasantly surprised. I highly enjoyed this book. I know some people either loved it or hated it. I loved it. This story is multiple points of view from multiple timelines. That's the best way to explain it. You get the past and you get the present. In the past, some women have gone missing in the town and no one knows, you know, they've never like turned up, they've gone missing. In the present, we are now, the book starts off from the point of view of a kidnappee returning home. So you get the point of view of like, is it like 4 or 5 different characters? It's crazy. From like the past and present, and then you have to kind of figure out where they're going to combine, like where they're going to meet in now time. But it was honestly good. Like, it wasn't like mind-blowing to me, but I really enjoyed it. And there was twists that I didn't see coming, so that was, you know, you can kind of tell that this one wasn't like my favorite because I'm not like excited about it, but I still really enjoyed it. But yeah, it was still highly enjoyable, and I really recommend that you give it a shot. The next book is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Joel, and this was my first Lisa Joel book, and I was pleasantly surprised. I am that way about a lot of books. I do realize that. However, this book, I knew I would like it because it had to do with like cults, and that fascinates me. So, this also is 3 points of view, double timeline. So, but it's not hard to understand. You get the timeline from the past and from only one character, and then you get the point of view of now from 2 other characters. But it all meets, it's all good. But this follows, and I can't remember her. Have you ever read so many books that's like the main character's name is just gone? Like, this has happened to me this year. This main character, she finds out that when she turns 25, that she inherited the house from her family. She was adopted when she was about 10 months old. She was found by the police in her family's house upstairs in the attic in a crib with what looked like a mass suicide down below in the house. Many came to believe that the house was like a place for a cult. And so from there, you just kind of learn everything about what happened. It was kind of sad in a way. Was there that many twists though? You know what? I really don't think there was that many twists actually. There might have been a few, but I just enjoyed like learning about like the cult culture and like what happens when like so many a manipulative person comes into your life, and like if you're not kind of rock steady and like in foundation of like what you believe in or things like that, you just kind of get like stripped down to like nothing, and then they kind of build you back up with their beliefs and things like that. So it's just interesting to me to read about that. But there is a sequel coming out for this book next year, and yes, I really want to read it. I plan to read it. My eye is twitching. It's a fabulous day. And then I just have some honorable mentions. I'm not going to go into detail about these books, but they were ones that I read that I think are worth your time.
Everybody gets a damn trophy, okay? You finish last, you come home with a trophy. You kidding me?
The first book, they're kind of like, okay, so these are horror and thrillers mixed together, because I didn't read enough to do just like a horror recommendations. That's why I'm putting them in like the honorable mentions. So we have House of Hollow, which is like a YA horror, but really it's like a YA thriller, but really it's like a YA fantasy. It was good. It's about 3 sisters who go missing and they come back a month later, and then like 10 years later, one of the sisters goes missing again, and the other 2 have to go find out what happened. They have no memory of where they went when they went missing when they were younger. Now they just have to kind of go and see if they can find their sister and what happened to them that night so many years ago. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was interesting. Was it like my favorite? No, it's why it's an honorable mention, but I still really enjoyed it. And then we have White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. This was a YA horror, but again, it's more like a YA thriller, because I didn't find it scary, but maybe other people will. But this book is Get Out meets Haunting of Hill House. So if those 2 are your jam, I think you'd really enjoy this book. This is about a girl who moves to like the Midwest with her family, and the place that she moves to, is it haunted or is it not? I'm just gonna leave it there because, you know, not going to tell you too much about it, but it's Tiffany D. Jackson, so you know there's going to be twists and turns, and there were, and I really enjoyed it for being my first Tiffany D. Jackson book. I then read The Final Girl Support Group. Okay, this was my first Grady Hendrix, and I liked it, but there is no way this is a horror book. Like, there's no way this is supposed to be a horror book. This was not scary, like, at all. It was more a thriller, if anything. Barely a thriller. But I digress. And this is about a support group, therapy support group for final girls. And Mr. Hendrix took the liberty of taking all the final girls that we know and love from either Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh no, not Sally. Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream, all them, and renaming them. So when you read this book, you kind of have to write it down at who's being who, so you don't get confused.
So like green is solved, yellow is to be determined, blue's just pretty.
What does red mean?
Unsolved.
You only have red on the board.
Yes, I'm aware, thank you.
But they all start dying one by one, picking them off. So one of the characters has to figure out who is killing the final girls for a final time. You see what I did there? I'm freaking brilliant sometimes. I then read my first Riley Sager this year, which was A Lock Every Door. Okay, so I was kind of hoping, like, I had my high expectations for Riley Sager because there's a lot of Riley Sager fans, and I'm like, okay, he must be good. But I did not really care for this book, y'all. Nope. Can't say that I did.
I said what I said.
Can't say that I did. I enjoyed parts of it. The writing was really good. The pace was fine. It was okay. I think I gave like 3 or 4 stars. But I will try like his other books, Home Before Dark and Survive the Night. And then his new one sounds interesting. So I will give those a shot. But like this one just didn't hit the mark for me. And the last one I want to talk about is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And this is the first in a trilogy of YA thrillers following a girl who loves true crime. Basically, that's it. That's the tea. In the first book, we're following her try to uncover the mystery of an unsolved, well, she thinks it's an unsolved murder that happened in her town. Everyone else thinks that it was solved.
Olsen and Olsen Mystery Agency will solve any crime by dinner time.
However, she does not believe that the person they blamed for it actually did it. So you kind of go from there. It's mixed media, so you get to see like her transcripts of things or interviews or things like that. It was a very good book, and I own the other 2 now, so I have to finish the series. But yeah, highly enjoy that if you're looking just for like a YA thriller to get into the, thriller mood. But those are all my favorite thrillers this year, my honorable mentions. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down below, what were some thrillers that you read this year that you absolutely loved? What are some thrillers that I need to read next year? Because I'm always down. I still have, like, don't get me wrong, this is a whole shelf of thrillers, but I'm always up for like buying more. So like, keep the recs coming. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new and would like to see more videos from myself. My social media is linked down below as always, my Goodreads and my Instagram, if you'd like to stay up to date on what I'm currently reading. But I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye! The frick was that? Yeah, you too? Do you have some? No, you don't. So why are you talking? When I read my first, I can't breathe. And if you have any thriller, excuse me, ma'am. Books to, who wrote They Never Learn? Lainey something. Lainey. Where's They Never Learn? They never learn. I never learn to pick up my books. Oh, there it is. What's the word I'm looking for? Is she in a coma? Is she brain dead? Is that insensitive to say she's brain dead when she is? The next book I want to talk about is Local Woman. No, I don't. At some point, there might not be like pertinent. That could be, no, I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and look cute because I don't know what to say. Okay. The Haunting of Hill House. Okay.